Uh, Hello everyone. So I assume you're no doubt intrigued by the title of this one. Karina McDaniels, mighty demonic lord of the seventh circle of hell, was, gasp, wrong about something? Impossible! Uh, unfortunately not. Over the past week here, my Rags to Roadkill video has appeared on the EFAP podcast. It stands for Every Frame a Pause, in case you were wondering. That video was torn a new ass from directions I didn't even know existed in the third dimension of space. With good reason, too. I'm still shocked I defended it as much as I did. When I figured out I was on the show from my Discord, my anxiety went through the roof. I had no idea how to react. It was a truly surreal thing to see. I was just nobody before this. And now 6,000 people, 6,000 plus people are mocking me. So the most reasonable thing I can think of was sending a few super chats explaining myself. So I did, and one thing led to another. Next thing I know, I'm on the podcast talking to Rags himself, along with Mahler, ER, and Anna. It turned out to be a lot better than I ever expected. See, I had a bit of a midlife crisis after talking to them in person, because I assumed it would only be negative. I've built up this attitude that anti-SJW leading types will be dishonest and are only looking to troll and be angry, but I got the exact opposite once I actually got to speak in a civil manner with them. It was a lot of fun, but also harrowing. I've fallen into the exact kind of headspace that I've mocked countless other people for falling into. I walked in there fully expecting to be dogpiled from every direction. I was fully expected to be shouted at and called every bad name in the book, but it never happened. And it genuinely took me off guard. I didn't know what to think. Only after getting to speak to him for a while, I realized what little ground I had to stand on. I was very concerned about how wrong I was, especially to this kind of level. I mean, was I wrong about everyone else too? I don't think so. I've got substance in those videos, but man, for how much I was railing against playing for teams, I was no better, at least in this instance. That thought honestly gave me anxiety for many hours afterwards. Anyway, my point here is that I was a big dummy dunderhead and I made many bad assumptions. As you'll see in the clip, every one of them treated me with respect and were very interested in a different perspective. I was expecting to jump into a hornet's nest, but I was very relieved that it was a fun and enlightening experience. And I'm glad I did it. No doubt, Mahler and Rags thought a lot better of me, and chat had their opinions flipped on me as well, for the most part, anyway. Not something I expected either because of my preconceptions about the internet. The internet to me was supposed to be this eternal shit-flinging competition where everybody hates each other, but I admit that was a bad assumption in this case. So yeah, I'm going to be embarrassing myself on my own channel. I think it's worth it, because I'm not interested in being looked at like I'm some sort of Billy Badass who's always right about everything. I'm an honest, open-minded person who shares their unique observations on culture. I want to be looked at as an honest and entertaining person who's not afraid to admit when they're wrong. One interesting thing that Mahler pointed out to me is that I was special for actually wanting to talk to them, because in the past, many people have called them bad people and racist and shit. You'll hear that in the video. To be honest, I had some of those same assumptions. Not the racist part or anything like that, just the they're not good people, they're not worth talking to. I genuinely thought I had nothing to gain by trying to argue with them, but I went for it, and my mind has been forever changed. If Mahler or Rags ever watch this, I wanted to say I was sorry for misjudging you. I assumed the worst for no good reason. These two people represent the best side of the community, and I think everybody should strive to be like this. I don't know how I could ever hate Mahler and his Frank Sinatra-esque voice. Shit, that man could read the phone book and I would be entertained. I apologize in advance for my mic sounding like utter garbage in this clip. I'm just bad at technology and Discord, okay? Please don't hate me. But yeah, that all being said, enjoy the clip.
Oh, everybody's saying he sent a super chat. One sec.
This guy sent a super chat?
The thought plickens, as Rags would say.
Hi guys, little embarrassed here. This video was not that good, I admit. I cut this out of my video, I left it unlisted. I appreciate the critique. Yeah, well,
I mean, I'm cool with that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we continue then? What's the MO here? I don't know.
I don't really care. I think we've. I guess there's a curiosity part of me that wants to see what's said about my video, because this is sort of a lot of this has gone into like now we're on the U thread, and we were on the one about the Captain Marvel reviews and stuff and the Reddit thing and the usual suspect stuff. We haven't talked about my video all that much, and I guess maybe I could skip around and see if they go back to my video.
Okay. Hello.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
I'm gonna have to.
Yeah, I go. Hi.
One
I can
sec.
barely hear him.
Yeah, turn it up.
Let's turn on my mic. Sorry about that. Let's go. See, I haven't used Discord very often, so this might be a little embarrassing. Voice and video.
All right. How you doing?
Yeah,
We've been checking out your video.
Yeah, I know. Admittedly, I'm really embarrassed because this video, what you're seeing right now is the old version of this. I actually took it down and uploaded it because actually, some people pointed out some very blatant things to me, and I was like, oh my God, I'm a fucking idiot. Normally, I just wanted to say that I'm only a person who gives an opinion, and for some reason, this one was really dumb. This is not really representative of what this doesn't really represent me as well as it could.
All right.
I'm trying to think of. So let's just try. I'm trying to think of what was like in the video. So, the controversies with Captain Marvel, like, so do you? Rags's point was that everyone's still talking about Captain Marvel because loads of shit happened around the movie rather than just being the movie. Like that was why.
In addition to the trailers and the fact the film was out and the deleted scenes had brought it back into discourse of film, and there's a lot of info that we can use, and it's very content rich.
Mm-hmm. So even Brown Table eventually thought that what he said here was kind of stupid. The whole like, why aren't people talking about Spider-Man? It's coming out. It's like there's nothing to say about Spider-Man other than like, yeah, it's cool that it's coming out. Looking forward to it. But Captain Marvel, like, I don't know if you remember when the deleted scene came out with the Dawn and everything, it just reignited the whole discussion.
Big deal. Yeah, like a lot of people were defending it and saying, "Oh, Captain Marvel, you go, girl, you show that guy what," and they were defending her behavior and actions, and it was like really disgusting. And that's what this whole video is about. Is Round Table is essentially defending her actions, and that is, I mean, thus the name of the video. What Captain Marvel does in that scene is outright villainous and horrific.
I can understand that, yeah. And to be honest, I feel dumb because in that same video, I didn't get through the whole deleted scene. I probably should have showed the end of that, but I didn't. So that was a big dumb move on my part. So I'm going to admit that.
All right, well.
But
all right.
At the same time, I do have an opinion on that deleted scene. It was kind of So I remember you guys laughing at the whole sexual harassment kind of thing, and I thought, well, wait a minute now.
Well, that's because it's not sexual harassment.
Yeah, it's not sexual harassment. That's why we laughed at it.
Well, I know. I think, I have a bit of a contentious thing about that, because it's, if you, like, could you picture yourself doing that, getting yourself in her face when she clearly ignored you?
He's not in her face at all.
That's not really the case.
Not like in her face, but I mean, like,
he's not in her face. She assaults them, dude.
Yeah, they're at a totally normal distance between that two people would be at for any conversation in public.
I will admit, assaulting him, I don't think he deserved that at all.
I'm glad
I would agree. Yeah.
No, you deserve that, and I'm just that was big stupid.
And we even said that him with the map was like, I wouldn't do that myself. I don't think he should have done that, but I think that's such a tiny thing. Like if I was Captain Marvel, and especially knowing what I was capable of, like power level wise, knowing that this guy could not possibly even dream of harming me in any way, I would certainly not go to that level. But even if it was just like one person and another person, I would be like, that'd be annoying, and I'd say, what are you doing? Like, you're being a weird person. Like, this isn't helping your case. Or I don't want to talk. But yeah, I think her reaction to his slight was extreme and villainous.
Yeah, and I don't know if I would classify how about a smile as like how we classifying flirting versus harassment. I just I wouldn't want us to be going this far because I feel like at that point, like I don't know, man, just like, being like, hey, a smile, you know.
I feel like if we call a man politely asking an attractive woman that he sees to smile, if that is our bar for what sexual harassment is, then like, oof, man.
Yeah, I feel like if that's the case, then what she did in response should just be classified as murder, I guess. It's like, fuck it, let's just go crazy.
Well, it's violence. I mean, like, I was looking at it at the perspective of, I would definitely not do this in real life, and if somebody did that to me in real life, I would be freaked out. If you're a woman and some man approaches you like that, you would get a little bit.
All right, I'm a woman. Let's talk about this. If a man approached me and asked me if I was lost, making fun of what I'm wearing, because if I was wearing that, then yeah, that seems like a logical thing. He was not sexually harassing her in any way. He was flirting with her. She was an asshole, and then she assaulted him, robbed him, physically harmed him, robbed from a store, and took off with his motorcycle. He did absolutely nothing wrong. She was the one that offered the handshake, that initiated the contact. She was the one that was an asshole the entire time. So there is absolutely no excuse. And trying to say, oh, let me put myself in like the shoes of a woman. I don't know any woman that's going to watch that scene and think that, he was the one doing anything wrong.
Again, I don't think the what he did was that bad in retrospect. And admittedly, knowing that happened afterwards, and I didn't kind of show that, made me look really bad. I will admit that straight up. Yeah, and one of the biggest criticisms was I only covered 11 minutes of the video, and that's and I'm talking like, well, I listened to this and I'm kind of like, I already feel like he's kind of being a little bit dishonest with Brown Table. Admittedly, I didn't know who Brown Table was. Like, if I knew him better, maybe I would understand.
Well, I don't know Brown Table, really. I'm just going by what he says in his videos that he posts publicly and the stuff that he comments on. I don't feel like I have to know him to, respond to the things he's saying. And if he doesn't believe them, then he shouldn't say them and present them as what he believes and what he thinks. I don't feel like I have to get into his psyche to really. I mean, it might be interesting to know. It might inform me as to why he's saying the things he's saying, but I don't think that would be like an excuse.
Yeah, so that I probably should have. I could have done a lot better on. This video was the reason I don't do live videos anymore, because I found I get lazy with them. So yeah, and admittedly, I did that.
Well, is there anything that I say in the video that you do, still have a contention with? Anything that I say that you disagree with? Anything that still would hold up that we can talk about?
I would say the only major thing is really that Captain Marvel is one of the worst movies ever made. I was kind of like, I think your point hinged on that quite a lot, saying that just like, no, this is
not really, actually. It's actually totally. So Captain Marvel could have been a 9 out of 10, incredible, stellar movie, but this video is about the deleted scene, specifically Brown Table's opinion on the deleted scene and the stuff that he says about people who have an issue with it. The quality of the film doesn't even really have anything to do with the points that I'm making. He just thinks that the film is good or that it's okay or whatever it is, and so I think that it's terrible. If you ever do, I know an hour and 51 minutes is, it's almost 2 hours of time to devote to something that you might not have an interest in, but there is a reason I do bring up Mahler's video. It is very comprehensive. Goes into a lot of the issues with the film.
I suppose we can jump over to that. I suppose from my title, you thought that I was trying to say that I found it to be a middling movie. It represents my emotional response, but what I was talking about, like structural with writing, is a disaster in that film. It takes me 2 hours to go through every single thing they fuck up in the movie. But at the end, I'm like, yeah, it was Captain Marvel's a very, very, like it doesn't move me in anger or in celebration or anything. It was such a meh experience, and yet the writing itself, though, like I said, structurally, characters plot willed and thematically trying to argue like the issue is women need to believe that that their power is just being repressed. But it doesn't make sense because Captain Marvel beats the person who's telling her to like, hey, chill out, stop expressing yourself, let's say allegorically. She beats him, and at the end of the film he's like, hey, give me a fair fight, and she says no and beats him. I don't understand how that could possibly give anybody any sense of a message about like how to operate as a woman in real life when facing oppression. She doesn't face any. Her neck brace, the thing that keeps her depowered, doesn't even work. But it wouldn't matter if it did, because she's still more powerful than basically anybody in the movie prior to it being released, and afterwards she's godlike. No one can beat her. We're lucky that Thanos managed to get the lucky punch off.
Yeah, the issues with Captain Marvel, they bleed over into other movies and even retcon prior ones. It's not an isolated bad movie, which is unfortunate. That's why some movies that are really terrible sort of get quote unquote a pass, because they're sort of self-contained. Captain Marvel as a movie kind of fucks with other shit, which is annoying, certainly, and it's definitely not something that we want to encourage.
No, I take it. And originally, you guys saw the old version. I guess somebody downloaded it and sent it to you, because that version has been.
No, I did.
And oh really?
Yeah, I've got it in. That's why I was asking a moment ago, like what holds up? That's why we've kind of stopped, I suppose. What like holds up in terms of stuff I said that was wrong or incorrect, or anything that I said that I guess is still like that you still have an issue with? Because we could talk about it and we can see if it holds up or not.
The biggest thing, admittedly, I think the whole deleting reviews thing was a bit of misinformation, because I saw on a Google.
Which part was the information? Which part was the misinformation?
It was right around like them deleting reviews. It was about like to increase the tomato score, right? So they would say, oh, they're deleting negative reviews so they can increase the tomato score.
They did.
As far as I know, that's what happened.
Yeah, are you actually disputing that they deleted like 50,000 reviews?
I'm not disputing that. I said that was true. No, I said that was true, but like
that's the only point that needs to be true for my point to be accurate. Because the whole point that I was making was that because of that happening, reasons aside, motivations aside, the fact that it was done is enough to get you to be like, okay, so they deleted 54,000 reviews. That's something that people are going to notice and they're going to talk about. And there's going to be speculation and people are going to present information on, both sides. The reason doesn't really matter as long as it actually happens. No, not even that. Even if it didn't happen, but everybody was talking about it potentially happening, that's still a controversy that generates attention.
Actually, yeah, it makes a lot more sense now. Yeah, it makes sense. I guess, what was I think I was going to say something like that, but like, the whole, oh yeah. So I know, Rags, I'm pretty familiar with your channel. I've watched quite a few of your videos. I liked your videos back in the day. So I know what review bombing is, right? I was just wanted to ask, how do you not, they're just deleting review bombing? That's what I would ask.
I know they're not, I don't know.
Yeah, but then again, that's not related to your point, so.
Yeah, so my current belief is, I think that Rotten Tomatoes would, especially because we're talking about Disney here, and the mouse knows no moral boundary.
I can't argue with that.
The Rise of Skywalker, I think, is a good example. So I've seen some videos of people who have Mulan is an excellent example. So with The Rise of Skywalker, it has been perpetually on Rotten Tomatoes at 86% approval rate from pretty much its inception to, I think it's still the case. In fact, I can check. But The Rise of Skywalker, because I'm actually a little bit curious. Tomatoes. Let's give this a clicky click here. It is currently 86% positive after 98,259. So it's really suspect that you have an audience score that stays at perpetually 86% positive. Really, really weird. Especially with how panned it's getting by critics and with all the stuff that's going on with, in-film stuff. And this doubly so after the whether you hated it or loved it, the divisiveness of The Last Jedi, right? So you have people coming out and saying, so I went through a lot of these reviews and they have a lot of copy pasted stuff. A lot of these reviews are super positive and they use the same like copy pasted comments that they've been able to control F-Fine, stuff of that nature. So I believe that Rotten Tomatoes absolutely has they're not to be fully trusted when it comes to this stuff. And I know that Disney has a lot of say in the industry. They do a lot of shenanigans. They don't really have any moral scruples. So I totally believe that numbers are not always what they seem. I'm more convinced than not, especially nowadays, that when people say, oh, the bots, oh, the trolls, it's just used as a dismissive kind of, it's used dismissively. Like if we just call this group, maybe it's true, here's the thing, maybe it's true that it is a huge amount of bot accounts, but I'm extremely suspect of whenever people use that as an excuse to do anything. That makes any sense?
No, I hear you, and a lot of that is hard to argue with. So, Disney does have plenty of reason to take down negative reviews and all that stuff, and that's really hard to argue with. Yeah.
Like if this was a little indie film by just some company or whatever, and I think that the issue is that when Disney's involved with stuff, this is why I have a lot of, I guess, borderline personal issues with, we call them Disnoids here on EFAP, people who are like super fans of Disney products, when Disney is a very, very sketch company, right? Like whenever they're involved with things, my brow, poof, it goes up. I've got some questions, and I'm very skeptical of a lot of stuff when it goes around with them. Disney has been very progressive in a lot of the ways that, the Force is female and et cetera, et cetera. So with Captain Marvel and its very pro-woman, feministy kind of message, whether you agree with it or not, I think that it would be in their best interest to really make it seem as if it did good. If it didn't, then again, it made a lot of money, so how much of that is owed to which sections? Is it because it came right before Endgame? Is it because of the insane marketing done? Is it because of media hype? Reasons be what they may.
There's a lot of variables.
Yeah, there's a lot of variables. And I think a lot of it is just being able to recognize, regardless of whether or not it's true, the controversy itself can be worth discussing either way. And let's say that it is totally 100% true that 54,000 of those reviews that were deleted were actually they were bots. They were downvote negative bots, in which case then I would be like, yeah, it was a good thing that they deleted them. But I don't trust Disney, and I don't trust Rotten Tomatoes. They've ruined that trustworthiness. And that's one of those long-term negative impacts that companies have on people when they're constantly pulling these, shenanigans.
Well,
Actually,
remember they
all that
removed
pretty
the
recent.
want to see? Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, that was my bad.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
Someone talk.
Yeah, go for it.
Give me a second, guys. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
Sure. Anna, what are you gonna say?
Oh, I was just gonna say, well, remember they removed the entire want to see because it got down to like 17%, so they just removed that entire feature from Rotten Tomatoes.
Didn't they do something with TLJ where they got rid of, they added that, something happened, I think it was, I forget what it was. I wish I could remember at the moment, but they changed, it might have been Rotten Tomatoes, they changed something about how reviews were tallied or able to be entered in because of TLJ. I don't know. Maybe it'll come to me. Maybe someone in chat can jog my memory.
I think I heard a story about that too. Yeah, they changed it around that, which I mean, they change the rules sometimes. I'm kind of like, it's kind of hard to say anything. Like, depending on which side of the internet you're on, you're gonna believe whatever your camp of the internet.
Well, I mean, that implies that you only get your information from people and you don't do the research yourself.
That is true, which I try to avoid. And to be honest, I kind of fucked up in that scenario, and I'm going to admit it. And I took a lot of things. There's a reason I took that Mahler bit out, because it didn't serve my point at all. And really, I actually like Mahler. I'm subscribed to his channel. I think he's pretty good.
Okay, I have so many questions for you now. I thought you said that all I do is nitpick to pad out the time.
Well, yeah, there's a reason. And yeah, that's probably the reason I stripped it out. That's all. I feel like that's only sometimes true. There's a little bit. Sometimes there's those little bits, but like then again, I'm not really against nitpicking, so I don't know why I said that. I was lying.
Well, what's your definition of a nitpick, if I can ask? Like, what would be an example of something that was just a nitpick that Mahler had in his video?
I wish I could point to a specific.
Well,
what is
fundamentally, what would you classify as a nitpick?
Nitpick is kind of something that might go on about at length for like longer than necessary. That doesn't really. I guess it will change between people, but like something extremely minor that you don't. That you focus on a little bit too much.
To just like the way we say it is, it's a valid complaint, but it's a small complaint that has not a huge amount that affects much of anything, but it's still valid. So I can understand that you. It sounds like you were saying that it's not just that; it's the amount of time spent on it that almost makes you feel as though it's maybe goes from nitpicking to excessive nitpicking. And I suppose the reason Anna was probably looking for an example is that there may be nitpicks in my Captain Marvel review. I feel like I do nitpick in my videos, but I don't consider it a bad thing, because I usually try and be proportional with my time on it versus how effective it is in terms of fucking things up. But of course, we were talking about this just before you arrived. Hello Greedo considers the hyperspace kamikaze a nitpick, which baffles us. Like that, it's a major fuck up that screws up space battles forever. If you were to say something like that about my Captain Marvel video about a particular point, we would all be like, oh gosh, that's a nitpick. So yeah, that's probably where the confusion might lie. But a lot of people use nitpick to mean a lot of different things. That's all.
Yeah, that's true. And admittedly, I took that section out because I didn't know what the fuck I was talking about, really. I was doing it live, and I'm not good at talking live, really. So I try to do it to get out of my comfort zone, because I try to vary up my content. That whole rant was really dumb, and that's why I took it out eventually. Yeah, then the rest of the video, I was kind of like, yeah, it just wasn't that good.
It's just funny, because I got the impression... I got the impression you really didn't like my videos, but it's like, I guess you do. It's
no,
like, okay.
That's actually not true at all. I probably should have clarified, but again, I was live. I'm very good live. If I was writing a script, I would have been better. I would have said, Mahler, I generally like his content. I like what he does. I've watched your thing on H-Bomber Guy's Dark Souls 2 defense. I watched that quite a lot. That was one of my favorites, along with Outlaw. You talked about that one guy, Orwell
guy. You like game videos?
Yeah, well, yeah. I was gonna say, it seems like you like the gaming ones more than the movie ones, maybe.
Yeah, so maybe I'm just not versed on the movie ones. I do like I watched more of the gaming stuff, and I enjoyed them. I think they were really good.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. A lot of people cite the DS2 stuff as their favorite things from my channel. I don't know if it's because they hate H-Bomber Guy. Or not, but
it's because I'm in it. Obviously.
Yes, because Mel's featured.
I had a pretty up and down opinion on H-Bomber Guy. On one respect, I like him when he does his research on stuff, but other times when he gets a bit obnoxious, I'm just but up and down opinion on it.
Yeah, the only other thing I was interested in asking you is, like, what do you think a review is supposed to be?
Okay, so yeah, I would join the stream at around that point where you guys are telling me, like, oh, how long does a review have to be? And yeah, I did not explain that very well at all. So what I was basing that off of is I usually watch things like Red Letter Media. Angry Joe's review was about 30 minutes long, so I'm kind of like, if you were to get into everything in a movie, and get around to like every single thing and maybe even every critique, usually it would take 30 minutes. At least I'm basing that off of the videos that I've watched on YouTube. They're around 25 to 30 minutes. I didn't explain that, and it sounds kind of dumb to something. Yeah, you can talk about it as long as you want. Yeah, I just realized how dumb that's.
Yeah, because I think the Red Letter Media Rise of Skywalker one, isn't that 90 minutes?
I think they actually call it the 90-minute Star Wars review or something.
Oh, sorry, they call it's 70 minutes, so an hour and 10, which is still, if you would be okay with an hour and 10, I don't see why 2 hours would be unreasonable at that point, I guess.
Yeah, and admittedly, I watched a little bit of the Captain Marvel. I probably should have, and that was actually the big thing Rag cited. So if I were to go after him on, you didn't explain why Captain Marvel is, well, he kind of cited a video, so that would be dumb of me to assume that he doesn't have reason.
And mostly it's just the quality of the film didn't really matter to the point of the video. It could have been a great movie, but this scene was still been the scene, and that's all that it kind of needs to be. To take care of that issue.
Yeah, admittedly, I'm feeling embarrassed, man, because now everybody in chat probably thinks I'm a fucking retard.
They certainly think higher of you now.
I was going to say, wanted to clarify a few things, but I mean, I'm very thankful you came on and wanted to talk about corrections, addendums, whatever else. You believe me, EFAP chat and the community are going to be very, very impressed that you come on. We've had I want to say 15 instances of this compared to the 100 of people who are like, I ain't talking to you guys. You're horrible people. So yeah.
Oh, I'm one thing you should know about me. I'm a very open-minded person. I admittedly I do make fun of people on my channel. I do that stuff, but I don't ever do it for no good reason, and I don't hate anyone I ever talk about. I just give my opinion, and I'm a little bit annoying. I can be a little bit random, a little bit dumb, but I don't actively hate anybody. I just like to give critiques. Obviously, I didn't do as good as I should have.
Very well.
All right. Yeah. I would say though that I don't think that there's any when it comes to jokes about exploding porta potties at the Tucson Burrito Festival. I don't think that's particularly an anti-SJW joke. I think that joke is so incredible that it transcends all political.
I was live. I don't know why I fucking said one of the things I say. This is why I don't do live anymore. Sometimes I just sound like a fucking. Oh, geez.
I guess it's just a matter of because I used to be more like this, and I think I've mellowed out a lot more in that aspect and tried to be more objective. And I think EFAP's helped me a lot with that. I guess not to have. Don't be wearing the goggles. Don't have the lenses on. Ironic as that might sound, but don't have these lenses on in front of you where you're, I guess, trying to seek out the reasoning for everything. Because sometimes, we see it all the time with movie analysis, where people try to dig really deep into why some things happen, and sometimes it's just it's really simple. It's just sometimes it's just a joke or something like that. Because usually when something happens that's political, a lot of the times it's really overt and obvious, and there's generally enough of those to be able to point to those without having to jump to too many conclusions. Because we covered No Bullshit, and he is hilariously bad.
You guys actually.
Yeah, we need to do another episode for him sometime. He's so funny.
He's a fucking fool.
I actually talked about him recently. He talked about how The Last of Us 2, Naughty Dog hates fathers based on a tweet, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Sorry, hates what?
He hates he showed this tweet of Naughty Dog. There's this 3-second clip where it said Happy Father's Day on the Naughty Dog Twitter, and he took that to mean, oh, he hates fathers because they know that Joel dies. And I'm just
that's a weird argument.
That's a weird one. I know. I remember when that tweet came out and everybody was posting pictures of a beat up, bloody Joel, and they're like, yeah, Happy Father's Day.
Geez.
That's what we were all feeling. Yeah. That game was a trip.
The Last of Us 2, I thought the story was shit for the record, and I thought the gameplay was good. I mean, clearly they got to go through crunch time. Clearly the developers had to just kill themselves to make this game. Well, I could appreciate all the good animations. All of the world is wonderful and beautiful and everything, and it's been
certainly a lot of work into it.
The story was just shit, and I can't redeem it. I was gonna say that people were over exaggerating, but no, that's actually not true. The story is just really shit.
Damn. All right.
Hot take, I know, hot take, guys. Hot take up in here.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't have known where you stand. It is quite. A lot of people say it's the TLJ of games. Like, loads of people think it's a masterpiece.
Yeah, people think. All right, go ahead, Ryan.
Some people think it's amazing. A lot of people think it's terrible. Super divisive, and it has certainly ruined the reputation of that company.
We've covered 4 big videos on Last of Us 2. They've been staggering, their argumentation.
They've been
absolutely.
Oof, they've been rough.
Mm-hmm.
I saw
your dog. Get it.
Oh, yeah.
And mainly I saw Angry Joe ripping into it, and like hearing him explain it is just like, oh my god, they actually wrote this. Like, but granted, I can kind of forgive a bad story because games are this really tough to make, and they take multiple years, and they have staff changes in between that too. So like things will get lost in translation. So like, okay, if the story's bad, you know, too bad the story was the biggest upside to the first Last of Us. I was like, but yeah, if you fuck up that badly on a game that's very story-centric, yeah, you deserve a lot of shit for that.
So it's more character-focused than story-focused, really.
That's true.
And especially the first game, really, really simple story. It's just people are really attached to the characters, and really good character work can save a dull or even a bad storyline.
Yeah, man.
Dull or bad plot.
They've been working on that game for almost a decade. They had plenty of time to get it right, and they didn't.
Well, I think they executed exactly what they
Yeah,
wanted
they
to.
thought they got it right.
They just thought it was good. Yeah, they thought like from the hero superhero cards of their names and everything, and the way that they've been talking. Like, man, the writers for The Last of Us 2 thought they were hot shit.
Oh,
Certainly, Druckmann does. So.
It was in Christmas or Halloween question. Guests, main guests, because if we asked everybody, it would just be stacked full. We couldn't be doing that.
Right. Well, I appreciate you for letting me on, Mahler. I've taken every criticism, and I object to very little of it. So yeah, I'm gonna try not to be an idiot. Sure. And I'm glad you were able to let me on and stuff because
absolutely, it's all good.
Very few people do what you've done, and it has always ended up being a positive for the people who do it. One of them is actually one of our regulars. But we've multiple. Let's see, there's Jay Moriarty.
Snowman Gaming, just right, could technically count with the EU thing that happened. Closer look.
Thought Theater.
Yes. Chat helps out.
We've got some
Tonal.
Yeah, Tonal, that's right. Yeah, of course. It's hard to even think that at one point he was on the other side of things, but yeah.
Major League.
Some of the Cry More.
Oh god.
That's
always good when people actually come on. It's always
yeah, no, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it.
I actually didn't think I would be able to get on here with 6,000 people watching me. I never thought that would ever happen, but I'm glad you guys.
Chat picks up on that when someone's video is on and the person is in chat.
Yeah, they help us
here,
out.
Get him on, get her on, whatever. Do this. Like, oh, okay.
I sent you 2 super chats, yeah, and I was saying like, yeah, what you got there was the old video, but the newer video wasn't exactly any better. So, yeah.
Well,
like
yeah.
My main goal is I try to be as objective as I can, and like negative comments, I'm not going to say they don't bother me, but like, you know, they do get to me a little bit, but I try to be as objective as I can be. I'm not closed-minded. The whole reason I do the series I do on my channel is to try to understand someone else's arguments, and maybe I don't always do that well.
May I ask you a question?
Sure.
So in the beginning of this video, you were talking about how you used to like Rags and like his gaming coverage content, but then you got on this tangent about how he switched over to like anti-SJW. So I kind of want to know what the problem was, because that had nothing to do with him covering the video. So why was that?
That is kind of true. So he kind of did, to be honest. He did it kind of with.
I definitely did. Yeah.
I guess the main reason I brought that up, it wasn't relevant to his point at all. You're right about that.
Well, I want to know why do you have an issue with that kind of content, or is it you only specifically like to watch gaming stuff? Because that seems what you like from Mahler and Rags.
I know I lost some people when I swapped, but I think that was mostly because I established myself as a PC console channel, and then eventually it just was. I got bored of the topic, and I think I'd made my point, and so I just wanted to move to something else that I found interesting and that I cared about.
I understand that for sure, and I guess it's maybe just speaks a little bit to the little politics thing, because politics is always a shit flinging contest, which is why I don't like to get into it too much. I like to be a
Kind
little
of
more
moving away from it myself, yeah.
Yeah,
It
and
it gets on you, wears on you.
Yeah, and I guess most of that will have to be just political differences, because I've just seen the anti-SJW community, like I've seen them kind of in decline. I used to watch their videos. I used to like a lot of them, but it was just like they're kind of
moved on. I think a lot of them have just sort of they did what I did with PCs and consoles. They just I've seen this stuff before. I've done it a lot, and I guess they just moved on to something else. Because, like with me, I'm moving to more media focused stuff. I have no doubt that there will be some social and political commentary in there at places, but it will be a much smaller portion of the stuff that I say. But eventually you just get tired of talking about it. It's just, especially nowadays, when everyone's talking about politics and everyone's talking about this and that and this and that, and it's all so political and everything's so fierce and just intense, and sometimes you just want to talk about movies and games and stuff, and it seems so much more relatively easy going in a way. So I just want to break from it for a little bit.
I think you actually pointed out a lot of things that I've actually started to. That's exactly how I started to feel towards the guys. Liked all the Star Wars stuff. I noticed it happening around Captain Marvel and Brie Larson. Like, people think I'm a big Brie Larson fanboy. I'm really not. I think she's kind of funny sometimes. I don't think she deserved most of the hate I think she deserved a little bit of it. She said something stupid in it. I will never say that Brie Larson did not say something stupid. The whole 40-year-old white dude. I won't say that that was a smart thing to do, but like she was trying to be a joke. I took it as a joke, but clearly everybody else didn't, and people still have contentions with me to this day. But yeah.
Well, I mean, it wasn't supposed to be a joke. She said it at a Wrinkle in Time panel, and she was told to say it by Ava DuVernay. And when the movie itself is about a little girl who is half, white and half black, trying to find her white 40-year-old father. So it was a very ignorant thing for her to say at that kind of event. And I mean, it's like you don't even watch the movies that you guys are trying to promote.
Yeah, and as Red Letter Media pointed out, a lot of 40-year-old white dudes and older reviewed it positively.
Yeah, I saw that video too. Yeah, no, that's definitely true. And yeah, I agree with all that stuff. It's just like but I don't know, something about her tone just made me take it. And she said like she could have took that award show. What I admire about it a little bit is that she took that award show that could have been about herself, and she made it about a bigger issue. Now, whether you agree with the politics or not, is like it's give or take. But the fact that she did that when it could be her chance to just brag about being a winner and all that stuff, I find something commendable about that. I like people like that. That's just me.
Alrighty.
All right.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah.
But I'm not a big Brie Larson fangirl. I'm not going to fangirl for Brie Larson. I defend anybody who's treated unfairly. If I feel like someone's treated unfairly, no matter who they are, I want to be there to say, no, this is not fair.
I feel like her commentary came across as virtue signaling. Look how good I am, in a different sort of way. It's like I need to appear as if I care about all these things, and unfortunately that was done by trying to lower somebody else to bring someone else upwards, when those things don't. Yeah, plus a lot of people just don't want politics and social issues and everything. Some people want to be able to watch movies and watch sports and just watch movies and watch sports because it just wears a lot of people down. And the more and more we see of that, the more and more people are just going to turn away. What we see with sports, perfect example. And getting away from that is something that I sort of want to do to a degree. Not leave it, but just to get more into I guess there was a point in time where I thought, oh, we can just review movies and it'll be nice and things will be so much more simple. But the more EFAP we do, it's like, oh, you didn't like this movie? You hate women. Oh, you didn't like that game? Well, you must hate da 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 da. Yeah, I'm gonna make these character judgments about you as a person because you didn't like these things. And
I think
like,
here
we go again.
I think we all get that shit flinging part of the internet. I think it's mostly Twitter that's like that. Twitter just seems to be like this big shit flinging contest for everybody involved, or like everybody's calling everyone else like all this stuff. I've gotten some of it on Twitter.
Yeah, I hate Twitter. Twitter has done more harm to humanity than, jeez, than it's helped. Totally. I'm glad I got kicked off that place. I'm glad I'm out of there.
The only worst place is probably Twitch, but
I've heard a lot of bad stuff. A lot of weird stuff about Twitch. Don't like it myself.
Oh man.
Not to say that YouTube is some, idyllic heaven hole.
YouTube has been making some very questionable decisions too. Yeah. I'm not gonna be defending YouTube anytime soon. I've seen Amp Lemon's entire Downward Spiral series on YouTube, and I'm like, oh shit, it was so much better like 5 years ago.
So we're probably going to continue with our third video for the night. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about?
I think I've got everything down. No, I agree with all you guys said, and I'm glad you let me on here, Mahler. It's amazing to get to talk to you guys.
I mean, yeah, and again, thank you for coming on. Thank you for talking through them, and been fun.
Good stuff.
I will admit I hesitated a bit. I was scared chat was gonna hate me, but like, if I go on here, if I try to be as reasonable as possible, I think I'll be okay in the end. And yeah, I'm talking to very reasonable people, so that's good.
I think that was a good call. I think that was a good decision. I think it's gonna definitely be positive for you.
All right, I will tell you one last thing. I do not hate you as a person. I actually quite like you. I think you're funny. I think you hit the nail on the head a lot of the time.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, but obviously, when it comes to politics, I'm going to be a little bit in disagreement. I don't agree with everything you do and how you portray. I just felt like he was portrayed unfairly, but that was my fault for not watching the whole thing. Maybe I should have watched Brown Table's video first before doing that, because maybe I would have understood.
I think I cover all of his video in mine. So if you watched his video, then watched my video, you'd be watching more than you needed to, because I think all of his is in mine. One of the reasons why the video is like an hour and 10 minutes, but Brown Table's great. He's great for memes. He says a lot of silly stuff. So he's good content fodder in a way. Hope to see more of Brown Table.
Probably so. I should have actually seen him before I did. Yeah. It was great hanging out with you guys. Thanks again for everything.
No problemo. We'll catch you around.
Absolutely. See you later.
Laters.
Doodly-doo.
Well.